That's good. I'm currently drinking a cup of chai tea, which I feel like a lot of people talk about how when it turns into fall, it becomes pumpkin spice season, which I do love me a good pumpkin spice latte, but I feel like more people need to talk about chai tea season because when fall comes around, I start drinking chai tea and it is the best thing ever. Hi friends, it is Jenna, what is up? And welcome back to the Board Game Garden and welcome to a list video. I have not done one of these in a while and I, for some reason, have been playing a lot of small box games, a lot of card games recently. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just been that I've been busy the last few months, so I've been learning a lot more just like smaller, quick games that are easy to get to the table. I've also been playing with like a lot of people, so most of the time when you're playing with a lot of people, card games are definitely a go-to and they don't take as long. So yeah, I decided today that I would do 10 small box games. They don't necessarily have to be card games, but I think all of them that I'm talking about today are technically card games. So I'm talking about 10 small box games that you need to check out that I've been playing recently. I'm super excited to get into this. I have 7 of them that I have physically beside me, and then 3 of them I don't have yet, but I do want to get the other 3 that I'm going to chat about. I think I'm going to start off with the ones that I don't have, and then we'll move into the ones that I do have. So yeah, if you guys are interested in seeing these 10 small box games, then just keep on watching. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy. Also hit that subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. Don't know what the beginning of that sentence was. And comment down below what is another small box game that you guys think I would enjoy. Let me know down in the comments another one that you think I should check out, or just anybody else watching this video right now should check out themselves. So yeah. And also quickly before we get into today's video, I do want to mention that today's video is sponsored by the channel's first ever channel sponsor. Yay! We have a channel sponsor. I just wanted to give a huge thank you to Floodgate Games for sponsoring today's video and being the Board Game Garden's first ever channel sponsor. That's very exciting, super fun. I do want to give a quick shout out to one of the Floodgate Games' newest games. This is a small box game, so it kind of goes along with today's video, but this is Everything Ever. I chatted about it a little bit before, but Everything Ever is the party game that you've been preparing for your entire life. Yes, you heard that right. You've been preparing for it for years. It's perfect. But basically in Everything Ever, you are going to have 2 different cards in the middle. I believe there are like over 200 different cards in here of different categories. There's anything from something or everything orange to every food that you eat with your hands. There's just a bunch of different categories. You're gonna have 2 of them in front of you, and on your turn, you're going to have to say something in each of those categories. If you can do that, it moves on to the next player. If you cannot think of anything in those 2 categories, you either have to pick up one of the piles. So each of the piles or each of the cards that you do have at the end of the game are going to give you negative points, which you do not want. Or you can also, you start the game with 3 of the category cards in your hand. You can actually play down one of the category cards in your hand, and then you would have to say something in that category. So if you knew something in one of the categories that were in your hand, you can place that down, and then that would kind of save you for that round. And then until it came back to your turn again, hopefully the things that are on the table you would then know, and you wouldn't have any negative points. And yeah, eventually, if you get very good at this game, you can actually try to think of a clue or something that relates to both of them. I don't even want to try to figure out, maybe it's one card is a type of soap, and one card is, or a brand of soap, and the other card is an animal. You could say dove, because a dove is an animal, and also Dove is a brand of soap. So if you were able to say a word that connects both of them, you would be able to either pick up another category card into your hand, or if you had any negative cards in front of you, you'd be able to discard one of your negative cards. So that's a great way to get rid of your negative cards. You would continue this until, I believe, you deal out like a certain amount of cards into a pile until all of those are gone. Whoever has the least amount of negative points, or actually whoever has the most points, I guess, would be the winner, and that is the game. So yes, that is everything for Everything Ever. Again, huge thank you to Floodgate Games for sponsoring today's video. Definitely go and check out their games. I will have the link to their website down below. Everything Ever is available now on their website and also at your friendly local game stores, so definitely go and check it out. And let's get into this video, shall we? All right, so getting into the first three, like I mentioned, I don't have these physically, but I am going to get all three of these at some point. The first one that I'm going to be talking about. The first one that I'm going to be talking about is one that's actually on sale at my friendly local game store, and my friend Aiden picked it up not too long ago. I was there with him. It was at one of the times where we went before we headed over to our friend Tyler's house, and he decided to pick up a game called Time Chase, which this is currently on sale for $9.99 at my friend's local game store, and I am running over there and grabbing it for myself because I enjoyed this game so much, and I have not heard anybody talk about this game. It is a trick-taking game, which I've been recently trying to try more trick-taking games because I've noticed that I've really enjoyed trick-taking games. I think there are 2 other trick-taking games, actually 3 other trick-taking games that I'm going to be chatting about today. But yeah, I've been just really enjoying trick-taking games, and Time Chase is a really interesting take on a trick-taking game where basically you are going back in time and you are able to change tricks that were made or played in earlier rounds. So each round is going to be the present round. So you all have your like little standees or your little meeples of your player color, and you're all going to be on that first area where you're going to take your first trick in the present. There is going to be a trump card. Everyone's going to have a hand of cards with different suits, different numbers, like a typical trick-taking game. You will all play down a trick. Whoever wins that trick gets to win that present trick, and then the next round you will go into the next present. So the last trick that you played is technically in the past, and you also do at the end of each round gain these little crystals that are going to allow you to secretly, so at the beginning of a round, you secretly bid or take out how many of these crystals you want to play in order to go back in time. So if you're wanting to go back to just that trick that you played before, you would play one of those crystals in order to go back, and then you can actually change that trick and beat that trick then. So it's this very interesting thing where you can go back and win tricks that were played in the past, and then whoever is able to, in the timeline of tricks, win 3 tricks, that is the person that is the winner. I just think it is a very, very cool take on a trick-taking game. I've noticed that I really enjoy trick-taking games when they have some sort of other mechanic weaving in or woven in, and also just doing something different than your typical basic trick-taking game. I've really been enjoying that. So Time Chase is one that I wanted to shout out. Like I said, I am going to go and pick myself up a copy at my friendly local game store. Fingers crossed it doesn't sell out, but yes, it's definitely a fun one, and I definitely recommend checking it out. Next game, I'll switch over to a non-trick-taking game. The next game that I wanted to chat about is another one that I played at a recent local con, and that game is called Valbara, I believe. This was a game that my friend Steph brought to the local con, and it is a tableau building hand management game, I guess. Everyone does have a hand of cards. You all have like a deck of cards that all have the same numbers. It actually a little bit reminds me, I've never played Libertalia before, but it kind of reminds me of Libertalia, where everyone has the same hand of cards, and you're going to have your deck beside you with all of the same cards, like everyone else, and you're going to shuffle those up and then deal, I believe you have 5 at a time, and then everyone is going to simultaneously play a card down. Each of the cards is going to have a number on it as well as some sort of ability, and whoever has played the highest number is going to be able to, actually no, it's the lowest number goes first, and then it goes on from there. I think it's numbered 1 to 13, if I can remember correctly. And all of the different cards have different abilities. Some of them are if you play or if you take a card before your neighbors, gain a coin, different things like that. And basically when you play down your card, you do the ability, and then when it's your turn in like ascending order of the cards, you're going to be able to draft a card from a row. And that is going to be where the like set collection tableau building comes in, where you're going to be able to, the lower the card you play, the sooner you're going to be able to take one of those cards, play it in front of you, and each of the different types of cards, I think there are 5 or 6 different types of cards that you can pick from. They're all going to be different depending on the round, and each of them are going to be scoring in different ways. So some of them is going to be, or some of them are going to be, you know, score 2 per yellow card you have whenever you grab a yellow card. So if you already have a lot of yellow cards and you grab a yellow card, you're going to be scoring a lot of points. There are a bunch of different other colored cards that you can score in different ways. Like the purple, I think it's like if you have 1, you don't score any, but if you get 2, you score this much, and then if you get 3, you score this much, kind of like that. Some basic set collection things. Some of them are like scoring for the amount that your neighbors have, different things like that. And then whoever at the end has the most victory points is the winner. I think it is a great like hand management game, easy to get to the table, easy to teach to people. I loved the way that the cards looked as well, and it was really fun. So that was another small box card game that I played recently. That is Valbara. And lastly, for the games that I do not have physically, this is one that I played most recently. It is another trick-taking game, and this is one that is sadly, I think, out of print, which makes me so sad because I loved this game. And it's funny because it kind of mixed trick-taking with area control, which again, like I've never really been into area control, but recently I've been getting more into it. And I don't know, it's just really good. So the game that I'm talking about is a game called Jiraku. I think it's what it's called. It was fantastic. Like I said, you do have a hand of cards like in a trick-taking game. You have cards in 3 different suits. There's red, blue, and yellow. And there are, I think it's numbered 1 to 6. And then there's also a ninja card, which is technically a like trump card. So actually, you can only play the ninja, or the ninja will only win if the 6 is played. Hopefully that makes sense. But you'll be playing down cards like you would in a typical trick-taking game. But the cool thing is that the number that you play, yes, you are going to be playing into the trick, but at the same time, the number that you play is actually going to allow you to do some actions on the board. So there's this board, you have your like main pieces, and then you have some smaller warriors, I believe, that are just like cubes. For example, if I played down a 2 blue, I would either be able to add 0 to 3 of my cubes. Obviously, most of the time you'd want to add the most that you possibly can. You could add 3 cubes into the 2 area on the board. So that's why I would play a specific number in order to get some warriors into that specific area on the board for the area control. Or you can have that many movement actions. So if I played the 2, I would have 2 movement actions, and I would be able to move either 2 cubes, different spots, like 1 spot over or 1 spot, because each of the sections are just like lines. So you'd be able to like move a cube from the 6 to the 5, and then maybe the 5 to the 4. Hopefully I'm making sense of this. You guys will also see a little bit of B-roll from when I played it at my friend Aiden's house. But yes, you can also move your larger piece, which counts as 2 control power. You can move that for 2 actions 1 time. So the cubes are one action point, and then the bigger ones are 2 action points. Hopefully I'm making sense. But yeah, it was fantastic. I did win, which made me feel pretty good. But also you do gain points for winning the tricks as well. And then if you do win the trick, then you do start the next trick. So that's the nice thing about winning the trick. But at the same time, you're also focusing on the cards that you're playing, the numbers that you're playing in order to get your warriors out, to move your warriors around in order to win in those different spots on the board. So that is Jiraku, one that I am now going to be searching for. If you guys know of anywhere that I can get my hands on Jiraku, let me know. I would be forever appreciative. But yes, that is Jiraku. All right, so now moving on to the games that I actually have physically with me. So the first one here is from Devere, and this was sent over to me by Devere. This is Blind Business. So this is one that I actually got like a quick little overview slash demo at Gen Con. Jamie and I were walking around and we got a little quick overview of it. I was a little bit confused how it played, but then we ended up playing it at my friend Aiden's house and I really enjoyed it. It is very interesting. It is, again, a little bit of like a hand management, tableau building set collection game. But it does something different. Basically, you're going to have a hand of cards. You're going to be able to look at them and then you have to shuffle them up and then you have to face them away from yourself. So you cannot see the cards that are in your hand. You do not know where each of the cards are. At the beginning of the game, you can look at them, shuffle them, and then turn them face out. There are going to be later cards that you play down that will allow you to look at your cards again. Only at the beginning can you look at them, shuffle them, and then face them away from you. You will be, at the end of each turn, picking up a new card and placing it into your hand, but you can't look at that card. But like I said, there is going to be a card that when you play it down, you can then look at your hand, shuffle it up again, and then face it away from yourself. So there's ways to figure out what is in your hand. But basically on your turn, you're going to be looking at the other players and what they have, because they are all going to be facing you. And you're going to say, I would like that card. You point at one card in a player's hand. Obviously, they cannot look to see which one that you want. So they either have to say, sure, let's continue with this deal. Or they can say no. If they say no, then you can take any other card from their hand. But if they say yes, then they can take or point at one from your hand, and then you guys would make the switch. If you said yes, you would make the switch. You each put the card that you acquired from the other player in front of you, and it's going to be a set collection game. There are some cards that you get points for having like a 4, 5, 6, different things like that. There's also cards that get you to do different abilities, like I said, kind of looking at your hand, shuffling it again, and then facing it outwards. And also at any time during the game, if one player gets 5 numbers ascending of the same suit color, then they do win the game automatically. So that's actually how Aiden ended up winning. There's some certain things that actually happen when the players say no to the card. I believe if someone asks you for a certain card and you say no, you have to take that card and then place it down in front of you, and then they get to pick any other card in their hand, I believe. It was a little bit confusing to learn right off the bat, but as we figured out how it played, I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I'm excited to play it more. But yes, that is Blind Business, a really, really interesting take on a card game. I've never played any of the games that like you don't know what your cards are. You like actually face them away from yourself. I've heard that Hanabi is a good one. But this one I really enjoyed. And I also do love the art on the front, if you guys can see that. It's very cute. But yeah, that is Blind Business. Moving on to the next game. I touched on this one a little bit in a few other videos, but I wanted to include it in this video because this is specifically for small box games. And I think that this probably packs the most in a small box game out of all of these, and I think it is absolutely fantastic. English is hard. It is absolutely fantastic if you're looking for a game that feels like a bigger game but is in the smallest box, but that is Inheritors. So this is a game that I was given at Gen Con by North Star Game Studios, and this is crazy to me that such a it's not like a crazy complicated game, but it is quite a big feeling game for the size of this box right here. Basically, Inheritors is a hand management, I guess, set collection game. A lot of these are very like hand management, set collection, tableau building kind of games, but they're all very, very, very different. And Inheritors has a few extra things that go along with it that make it feel like a bigger game. Basically, you're going to have a hand of cards. There's also going to be a bunch of cards in the middle. There are going to be some quest cards. There's going to be some like end game scoring cards, different things in the center. Quest cards are going to be face down, and then the end game victory point cards are going to be face up, and they're going to be different things that you have to achieve in order to get those cards. And then you're going to take it, and then you're going to be able to score it at the end of the game. And then there's also going to be a market of some cards in some like different lines and stuff. And basically you're going to have a hand of cards. You are going to be ultimately trying to make rows of ascending numbers of the different suits in front of you. So there are, I think, 6 different suits or 5 different suits. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you are basically trying to build piles from 1 to 6 in any of the suits. You're not going to be able to do all of them because there are only like 1/6 of each suit. There's probably only 1 of the 5s of each suit. Maybe there's 2 4s, 2 3s, and like 3 1s and 3 2s or something like that. But there are only 1 of some of the cards. So you're going to be the only one that ultimately gets those cards and are able to complete some of the suits going from 1 to 6. There are also some cards that you can play down that allow you to skip numbers in a like ascending line of a suit. But basically on your turn, you are going to be either playing a card down from your hand that is one of the suits in ascending order. So if I already had a yellow 1 in front of me, I could play down a 2 on top of the yellow 1, and that would be my turn. You can also discard, I think, a card. Discard 1 card in order to pick up 2 cards from the deck, just like the face down deck. So it's just kind of to see if you can find some cards that you are searching for. You can also discard 3 of the same suit, or I believe it's just 3 of the same suit or 3 of the same number, possibly. It's been a little bit since I've played, but you can discard 3 of the same of something in order to grab a quest, which, like I said, the quests are face down, so you, I believe, are just picking up 1 random, and then that's going to be some sort of thing that you have to complete. I could be wrong. It could be that the quests are the ones face up and then the other ones are face down, but I'm pretty sure the quests are face down. And then also you can play down different cards. There's also going to be other cards that are not part of the suits that you can play down that are going to be different abilities that allow you to do different things. And then also you can play down a card of a certain color, certain suit, and that's going to allow you to pick up the same colored cards from a different row. So there's going to be 3 rows. You would play down a yellow in 1 row in order to pick up the yellows from a different row. That's probably the most confusing part of the game, but basically that's how the market works, where you have to place a card down in 1 row in order to pick up the same of that in a different row. And then ultimately you're just trying to get those different sets of cards in front of you. You eventually, if you, I think, get to a 3 of one of the suits, you are able to, if you're the first person, that specific suit has a coordinating like leader, I guess. And each of the leader cards are out on the table as well. And if you're the first one to complete 1 through 3 of a certain suit, you get that coordinating leader if you're the first one that does so. And then that coordinating leader kind of gives you a special ability for the rest of the game. So it's a little bit of a race to try to get one of those leaders. But I think this game just offers so much. Obviously, you guys just heard me explain it. There's quite a bit going on, and that is in this little tiny box. I cannot get over it. I also love the art in this. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this, but all of the different suits with the different leaders and the art on the different cards and stuff. I just absolutely love this. I'm so excited to introduce this to more people. I actually do really want to play this with my friends Tyler and Aiden. Also my friends Tom and Asha as well. We have so many different, also Kat and Steph I think would enjoy this. I have so many like little groups, which makes me so happy. But yeah, I think all of them will really enjoy this, so I'm excited to introduce this to them. But yes, that is Inheritors. All right, so are we ready to move into another trick-taking game? This is probably my number one that I recommend you buy. If you're watching this and you're looking for a fun trick-taking game that is easy to learn, easy to get to the table, is so addicting, I recommend this so much. This is called Sea of Strife. So Sea of Strife is, like I said, a trick-taking game. There are, I think, 8 different suits. Could be even more, could be slightly less, but there are a ton of different suits, and each suit is going to be numbers. And then as you go higher in the suits, the less numbers are included in each of those suits. So the first suit with all of the lower numbers includes, I think, 10 different numbers within that suit. Whereas as you go higher, when you get up to the 70s, there's only 70, 71, 72, 73, and 74. So it kind of gets less and less as you get higher in those numbers. And basically, you are trying to win the least amount of tricks as you possibly can. So you are trying to actually lose tricks. You're trying to have the lower numbers, which is so interesting. And then the other interesting part of Seas of Strife is that if you cannot play, so typically in a trick-taking game, someone starts the trick with a different suit, so they can play whatever they want. And if you don't have that suit, you can then play whatever suit you want. So the fun thing about this game is that if someone else plays a different suit, that next person can now play any of the suits that have been played before. And then once an entire trick has been played, whatever suit has the majority of cards. So if, for example, there were 6 players, 3 of them were gray, 2 of them were red, and 1 of them was orange, the grays would be the only ones that would count. And then whatever card in that suit color that is the highest would be the one that won that trick, and then they would gain that trick in front of them. And like I said, you don't want to win tricks, so that person would not be happy. And it's just this very interesting, it gets very deep in strategy, and I just love it so much. Whoever gets to, I think it's 15 tricks, that triggers the end of the game, and then whoever at the end has the least amount of tricks is the winner. So yes, that is Seas of Strife. I played this for the first time at my friend Daryl's house, and he introduced it to me, and I immediately, I think like the next day, ordered it. So that is Seas of Strife. I will mention that it's also illustrated by Beth Sobel, so that's awesome. Love her art. Probably not my favorite art of hers, because I do prefer when she does more like naturey trees and flowers and stuff. So this one is a little bit more like boats and things, but it's still very, very pretty. She's so talented, and I definitely recommend, if at all you get any games from today, Seas of Strife is fantastic. All right, so moving on to the next game. I think I touched on this one a little bit, but this is another one that I got when I was at Gen Con. This is from Arcane Wonders. Huge thank you to them for sending me home with this. But this is Gap, which you guys can tell that it's a very, very shiny box. I don't know if you can. Oh, there you go. There you go. So you can tell it's a very shiny box. This box is actually very difficult to open. That's my only thing with this box, is it's a little bit difficult. But there's not a ton of cards in here. And I do think that they could have made this a smaller box, but I understand. It is gorgeous, and I love the way that it looks. But this is for 2 to 6 players. I really love that it can be played up to 6 players. It's very, very nice. I do think that Seas of Strife can also be played up to 6. Yeah, 3 to 6. This one is 2 to 6. But basically, Gap is not a trick-taking game. But again, it is a little bit of a hand management set collection game, where at the end of a round, you're going to be scoring for your gap between the group of cards of one color that you have the most of, and the group of cards of another color that you have the least of. And the cool thing is that if you have 2 different colors that have both the most, they actually are going to add together for your positive points. But then if you have 3 colors that have all the least, they are going to be added together to have your negative points. So if you end up with 2 piles of 2, and those are your 2 piles that have the least cards, they actually are going to add up, and they are going to give you 4 negative points. And then if you had one group of cards that only have 4, you're going to have 4 positive and 4 negative, so that entire round you're going to score 0 points. And basically you're going to be playing a bunch of different rounds until somebody has hit 15 points, I believe. Could be wrong, but it's when someone hits a certain amount of points, that person is going to be the winner. But how do you get your cards into your tableau, you might be asking? Well, there are going to be, I believe, 4 cards in the middle of the table, as well as a pile of cards to the side, face down, draw pile. And everyone's going to have I think it's 6 cards in their hand. And on your turn, you're going to be playing down one of your cards in front of you, and then depending on what number that card is, you're going to be acquiring one of the cards from the middle, the 4 cards in the middle. Basically, it'll be if you have the same number as any of the cards in the middle, you're going to acquire that card. If you don't have any of the same numbers, but the card that you play has either any numbers that are 1 above or 1 below that card, you would acquire those. If there are both, you would acquire both of them. So for example, if I played a 2 in front of me and there was a 1 and a 3 in the middle, I would actually acquire both of those and then I'd place them in front of me. When you're acquiring cards and playing down cards, the number is the only thing that matters. But when you are scoring for piles of colors, the colors are going to be the only thing that matters. So it'll just be the amount of cards that you have of that specific color. But then lastly, if you play down a card that has none of the same or none of the above or below, you are basically just playing that card into the middle and you do not acquire any cards into your tableau that round. So super simple. You're just playing down a card, acquiring cards if you can, placing them in front of you in your tableau, and then you're scoring for your highest and your lowest, whatever the difference is between the two. Really enjoyed Gap. It's so easy to play, so easy to learn. Plays up to 6 people, so it's a fun one to get to the table. Super, super easy one. I definitely recommend if you're looking for one that is travel friendly, doesn't take up a lot of space on the table, is easy to get to the table, easy to teach. I definitely recommend Gap from Arcane Wonders. All right, so moving into the next game. This is a game that actually plays 3 to 8 players. So if you're looking for a game that plays with a large group, this is definitely the one for you to look into. This is Splitto. So Splitto was sent to me by 25th Century Games, so huge thank you to them. But basically, Splitto kind of reminds me a little bit of Point Salad, but you are actually playing with the players on your left and your right, which I've actually recently been really enjoying this type of game where you have a lot of interaction with the players around you. And this one, you are specifically playing with the players to the left and to the right, and you're going to be scoring points by playing cards in between you. And at the end of the game, whatever you score on your left and whatever you score on your right, I just did the wrong ones, but you get the point. You would actually multiply the 2 numbers from your 2 neighbors, and that would be your end score. So you are trying to score the most on both sides and having them the most balanced as possible, because the higher both scores are on both sides, the higher your multiplied ending score will be. So basically it is a closed drafting game. Everyone's going to start with a hand of cards. Those cards are going to be compiled of different numbers with different colors, as well as different scoring cards. So this is kind of what reminds me of Point Salad, because you have the cards that you're going to be collecting, but then you're also going to have the objective cards that are going to score you for the other cards that you've collected. Hopefully that makes sense. But basically on your turn, you're going to, actually everyone's going to be doing it simultaneously, but you're going to be picking a card, placing it either face down to your left or to your right, based off of what you want to score. And then everyone at the same time will go 1, 2, 3, flip over their card, and then whatever is on those sides would then score. You'd continue this until each player has played out all of their cards, and then you would score for the different objective cards that you played out based off of the other colored and numbered cards that you have on each side of you. And then, like I said, whatever your finishing score was on your left and your right, you'd multiply together, and then that would be your ending score. And whoever had the highest ending score would be the winner. So that is Splitto. I've really been enjoying this one. It's very fun. Like I said, it has a lot of interaction. Very cool, very unique, and I definitely recommend checking out Splitto. All right, so moving into the last of the trick-taking games that I'm going to be talking about today. This one is a game that I purchased myself at Gen Con. This is from Pandasaurus Games, and this is Aurum. So Aurum is, like I said, a trick-taking game. The only not so great thing about this is the player count. Aurum is a 3 to 4 player game, but I believe that if you play it 4 player, you have to play at like a team, in like a team variant, which I think is very odd. I don't know why. I've played only 3 players, and it plays really, really well at 3 players. So I think if you get this and you have a pretty consistent play group of 3 players, you will really enjoy it. Haven't played it at the 4-player count with the team variant, but yeah, I really enjoyed it at 3 players. Basically, it is a trick-taking game. I love the way this game looks. It looks like tarot cards, but you are playing a trick-taking game where it kind of spins it, where typically in a trick-taking game, you have to follow suit. So whoever starts the trick plays down a card, and you have to play that card. If you can't, if you don't have any of that card or that suit, you can play something else. But in Aurum, whoever starts the trick plays a suit. You cannot play that suit. So you actually have to play a different suit, and then the next person would have to play a different suit, because you all have to play different suits, if that makes sense. And then also, whoever wins the trick gets the cards, and whoever loses the trick actually gains a trump in that same number. So if I lost a trick with a 3, I would actually gain the 3 trump card, and that would be placed into my hand. Also, trump cards are going to, if you don't play it throughout the round, they're going to get you victory points at the end of the round, which is good. And also, at the beginning of a round, you're going to be estimating how many tricks you are going to be able to win. If you are able to guess correctly without going over, you do gain specific victory points for that, and you also do gain victory points for all of the trump cards that you have at the end. Sometimes you will want to play those trump cards, so you kind of have to give up those points in order to play those trump cards, which I think is very interesting. And it's just so cool to not have to follow suit, and you're actually having to not follow the suit, which I think is just really cool. Again, I've been really enjoying trick-taking games where it's kind of spinning it and doing something different than your typical basic trick-taking games. So that's why I enjoyed Aurum. Loved it very, very much. I'm excited to play it more. I'm going to be interested to see how it plays with the 4-player like team variant. I will definitely let you guys know about that. Sadly, it only plays 3 or 4, so I can't play it at like any more or any less. But yes, that is Aurum. All right, and the last game. This is probably the biggest box of the small box games, but it's not super big. But that is Point City. So Point City, again, is another one that I actually got gifted by a wonderful human at Gen Con. Shout out to Eric. But this is Point City. This is the next in the Point Salad kind of series, I guess. I don't know if they're going to continue it, but it is from AEG and Flat Out Games. And basically in Point City, you're going to have this big grid of both resource cards as well as building cards. The cards that you get in this game are double-sided, so one side is going to be a resource, the other side is going to be a building, and each building is going to require a certain amount of different resources in order to get. So on your turn, you're going to be taking 2 adjacent cards from the grid. You have to take, I believe, a resource and a building. I could be wrong, but you're just taking 2 cards and then placing it into your tableau. And you have to, if you're taking a building, you have to have those resources already in order to spend. So if I had a leaf and a gear card in front of me from a prior turn that I grabbed on my turn, I could actually on my next turn grab a building that maybe cost a gear and a leaf, and then the, whatever is adjacent to it, I could grab those and place them in front of me. The buildings are going to get you kind of permanent resources that you can use. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a Splendor in a way, where you are gaining the building cards that are actually going to give you permanent resources in order to use on a future turn. So it's this little bit of engine building, which I absolutely love. And then also some of the building cards, when you build them, are going to allow you to get one of the little circle tiles, and those circle tiles are going to be getting you victory points in different ways. They're going to be a little bit of set collection, so one of the tiles could be score 1 victory point for every orange building card that you have collected at the end of the game. So you're going to be collecting these different tiles kind of based off of what you think you're going to be getting throughout the game. Such a fun game. Also, optionally at the beginning of your turn, if any rows have all the same, so if a row or a column all are resources, you can actually optionally flip one of them to the building side. I believe you can also do that the opposite way. So if one complete row or column are all buildings, you can flip one of them to the resource side. Could be wrong with that, but yes, really enjoy it. Whenever you're taking things, they do get replenished with the opposite of what they were before. And you're continuously doing this until all of the cards have been placed in front and drafted, and then whoever has the most victory points at the end is the winner. I do really enjoy this. I think I enjoy this one more than Point Salad. I think I've chatted about it before, but Francis is not a huge fan of Point Salad, so I was happy to get this one. I haven't played it with him yet. Hopefully he will enjoy it. Also, the nice thing about Point City is there is a solo mode as well, which I haven't played yet. It plays 1 to 4 players in 15 to 30 minutes, which is fantastic. It has a little bit more strategy and a little bit more depth than Point Salad. So if you enjoy Point Salad and you want something that's a little bit heavier, a little bit more to it, then definitely check out Point City. Even if you don't like Point Salad, I can see you definitely liking Point City. So definitely check it out if you have yet to do so. But yes, that is Point City. All right, friends, so that is going to be everything for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed hearing about the small box games that I have been enjoying recently. If you guys did, please give this video a big thumbs up. Also hit that subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. Again, a huge thank you to Floodgate Games for sponsoring today's video. I do want to let you guys know that every few videos will be sponsored by Floodgate, so huge thank you to them for becoming a Board Game Garden channel sponsor. I appreciate it. Thank you for supporting. Definitely go and check out their games. They're all wonderful. And yeah, love you guys so much. Remember, you are somebody's reason to smile, and I will see you in the next board game video. Bye, friends.